Welcome into the Kings Beat podcast. I'm James Ham, Kings Insider for ESPN 1320 and the Kings Beat. Joining me today, although he's moving the screen all over the place, is Fox 40, Sean Cunningham. Sean, how are you?
I'm good. I feel like I'm in a dungeon again. This room is just so incredibly dark. I literally have
Give
three
us a thumbs
lights in
up
my
if you're okay,
face.
Sean. Give us a
I'm
thumbs up.
okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I need like today's paper to prove it. So let me just flip you all off with Rihanna on my phone. I'm going to show you that
So we know
this
when
is
it is.
today. Yeah, we are okay. I'm good. See, it's not
Oh,
a recording, but I can't. Yeah, I just can't get my background to be very light, and I have a shitty webcam, so that might be one of it. It's like it's the one that's attached to the laptop. This is far too much talk about stuff that the listener doesn't give a shit about. So
well, that's all
I'm
we do,
doing
Sean.
fine. Yeah, I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
Plus, darkness is all around us. You're just like par for the course, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We are, of course, joining us as well as Brenden Nunes from the Kings Wolves podcast. Brendan, how are you?
I am doing well, a little more well lit than Sean today. I still have a few Christmas things I'm getting done. I always do it pretty last minute, and I'm sure that the malls are not going to be fun right now, but it's kind of the rest of my off
Well,
day.
hold on. You're going to a
Yeah,
mall? What is
yeah,
wrong with you?
yeah. This is what I did last year too. I did it on the 24th.
Are you psychotic?
It actually wasn't the worst. I thought it would be worse than it was.
Avoid the mall, man. Avoid
I
the
went to
mall.
Costco today. That was sketchy. Actually, the lines and everything inside were great. You always have that one moron who just decides to park their cart in like the middle of the main aisle and start looking at clothing. You're like, what are you doing? There's like this whole entire building is packed, but outside of that, the parking lot was a mess. The parking lot, getting into the parking lot, getting out of the parking lot, that was a mess. But the inside of the Costco wasn't that bad. Um, oh,
The
Sean muted
Costco.
himself.
The Costco. It's the Costco. That's
The
hilarious.
Costco. Yeah. All
I
right.
almost had a podcast candle, but I do not know where a lighter is currently. I realized it's
It's
been a
kind
while. It's been a
Do
little
you
it,
have
while.
it
one, Sean?
has I don't at the moment. And you know what? That's probably
It's probably
cause
why
for the
the
King's
Kings
demise.
are
Yeah.
3. I mean, are 3-11 in games
What have I
decided by
been
5 games or
doing?
less.
This is my
What are they
fault.
now? What's the record? It's 13-17. I
Yep.
believe
Well,
so.
yeah, we're talking about the debacle to the Indiana Pacers last night, so that makes them 13-17 and
Yeah,
11
13-17.
losses on the home floor.
6-11 at home. Talk about a Travis Shamma mockery.
Woof.
All right, so we're going to get into all that.
Do
Number
we have
one, of
to?
course, this is a King Speed podcast. Yes, Sean, we've got to get into it.
Okay.
We are an underdog sports podcast. We're also brought to you by Blue Wire. But the underdog thing, I've had a good time with this. It's different than the other daily fantasy games that we've tried before in the past, and I like it. So I'm super excited to be part of Underdog Sports. It's my favorite place to play fantasy games. You got to check out their pick'ems. You can go between 2 and 8 selections. I did an 8 pick yesterday, and I did not go well, but that I blame plenty of things on the reason why that did not go well. But it's definitely cool. Download the app. Use the promo code Kingsbeat, all one word, KINGSBEAT, one word, to get your first pick free and a first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Send me your entries. It's super cool. We're having a good time playing. And again, I this has been my favorite by a long shot of daily fantasy sports that I've tried. So give it a shot and use the promo code Kingsbeat. Let's get into this, guys. Number one, what do you guys want for Christmas? What's your big gift that you've asked for? Because I don't think anyone wants to talk about Kings basketball right now.
Huh.
It's a good question.
You know what I would really like if it was just, aside from something super grandiose, I would say Oasis is touring again. They got back together, and I don't think Brendan Oasis is the band that did Wonderwall. They're brothers, and Wonderwall is a song that was really big in the '90s, and I think you might know it, right?
If it played a little bit.
They're from.
name?
Go ahead and
I
You know what?
go
don't
ahead and
Just
know.
sing
Google
it,
it on your
Sean.
phone while I talk here,
You're
real quick.
my
That's fine.
wonder.
Don't look back in anger.
Oh,
might
yeah.
be one of my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a great,
Anyway,
great representation, James.
they hate each other.
They're brothers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're brothers, Liam and Noel. And that would be fun. I think they're not coming up this way. They're going to be down in at the Rose Bowl. But if I could,
Oh, you
find
got
my
to go
tickets
all the way
just
there to
that.
see him.
Yeah, but I think it'd be worth it.
Oh, okay.
I definitely know the song.
That's it. That's a good mark. Okay, Brennan, where are you at? What's the big gift you're asking for?
I do not really know. I think that it's a PC upgrade for myself. It's what I do a lot of my work on, and things have been moving a little bit slow recently, ever since my power went out a little while ago, which probably has something to do with it. But I'm doing like some little PC upgrades with different internal things, and I never built my PC in the first place. I bought it secondhand from a friend, so I'm now attempting to learn how to take down and rebuild my PC in a way.
Excellent. Okay, sounds good.
By yourself?
Let's
Another
see.
boat?
Yeah, a fourth boat would be
You
amazing.
could use another boat.
No, I could
Would
not
it?
use another boat. No. I did get a giant bottle of Kraken today from my friend Kyle Madsen.
That.
And, and some Rittenhouse. Kraken is a rum, yeah. And some Rittenhouse whiskey from Charlie. So I'm feeling good there. Plus, Kyle has a new tradition. He buys me a flannel every year, which I love. So yeah, I don't know.
Cute.
I'm not someone, I'm one of those people that other people don't like buying for, because when I want something, I just go buy it. And so I frustrate people, like in my family. Like I don't typically wait around. And I don't even think, hey, I guess I could ask for that for Christmas. So I guess I don't know. I don't know what would be my big ask this year.
Well,
Let's get into it.
you got a lot of people to buy for. I know that. That's always a thing for you. So
I do. I have a
I'm
lot to
looking.
buy
Yeah.
before. Yeah, I have a big family. We host Christmas Eve. We host Christmas Day. And I don't know, Christmas Eve we'll probably have like 12 or 15 here. And then Christmas Day, it'll only be like 8 of us. So, but lots of people. But I don't have as many siblings as Brendan does. So I don't know if Brendan buys for his siblings.
This is why we go to the mall, guys. You can do a lot in one place.
That's
Yeah.
expensive. I hate the people. I can't do it. I
I
buy a
don't
lot. I'm an online shopper myself.
Yeah, me
I
too.
do a lot of that.
Me too.
Same. Well, and I see one side of the family a bit after Christmas, so I can kind of.
Oh, so you don't even
get
buy
away with-
gifts?
Yeah, well, we get the gifts, we just get them way later, and I don't have to worry about a hard deadline in the same way of the 25th.
All right. That sounds good. All right. Well, let's just get to it. The Sacramento Kings are just a complete
A mess. Yeah.
Complete mess. Like, this is usually a point where Sean would use profanity, and I'm feeling the same way. Like, it's turned into a shit show, and I don't even know where they go from here. They walked into one of their softer points in the schedule, a bunch of home games, a bunch of winnable games at home. And so far they're 0-4, and their fans are booing them every single night. And it feels like this thing has hit a lowest of the low. And for someone who's covered the team for as long as I have, and Sean has, and now Brendan has, I think all of us are looking at this low and saying, oh no, I can get lower than this. We've seen it. No one has barfed on the court yet, although I think multiple fans would have liked to over the course of the last couple of days. Where are you guys at, just like with the general tenor around the team at this moment in time?
First of all, I had a conversation about a puke guy the other day with somebody, and he's nowhere to be found since. So I just want to, put feelers out there that we hope puke guy is okay. And I'm just curious what happened to this guy. He could have used it. He could have became a little bit more public, but it is what it is. I'm just curious what's going on with puke guy.
Okay.
Random tangent. Was talking about it the other day. 4 losses in a row, obviously. I think the most concerning thing, or one of, is that in multiple of them, Mike Brown was very clear. These are what we're emphasizing coming into the game. Points in the paint against the Lakers, for example, and offensive rebounds. And what do the Lakers come out to do the very first couple minutes of the game? They get a bunch of offensive rebounds, and they're getting into the paint whenever they want. Same thing happened in Denver with those back cuts, and DeMar DeRozan was on Aaron Gordon. But the second Lakers game, you have a chance to sort of restart some things. Again, super slow start to the game. They eventually fight back and crumble a little bit late, not able to take care of business in that one. But it's like it doesn't make sense why things are being emphasized and then not actually being executed on the court. There's some sort of disconnect in whether it be engagement or whatever it may be that's going on, but they keep having these lulls. And it seemed like against the Pacers, all right, start of the game was decent. I thought they weren't hitting as many shots to give them a larger lead than, about even that they were going in that first quarter. But I was like, all right, they scrapped the first quarter struggles. Coming out of the second half, the third quarter felt just like the previous first quarters had been. They were not locked in. Everything gets out of hand from there, but there's just these extended lulls that this team has that are confusing. There's a lack of attention to detail when it comes to executing the things out there on the floor. And, I'm sure you guys have reached this point plenty more times than I have, but I'm even at a point post game where I'm like, I don't even really know what to talk about because you already know what's going to be said going into it. It's the same issues.
Sean?
Well, for me, it's just an all too familiar situation. Haven't had it in very long. But yeah, I mean, you see a team that's just absolutely grasping at straws in order to try new things, to try to keep their head above water, to find things that work, tinkering aplenty, find something that can remain consistent, give it a try. It doesn't work, and then try to find other. I mean, it's just it's tough, and I hear you to the point of you run out of things to say, but it's actually funny because they find different ways to shoot themselves in the foot. And look, last night's game was probably a low point, a boiling point, if you will. One that if you look back and you go, it's one of 82. And you just remind yourself how quickly things can change in the NBA. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about winning 3 straight against, albeit kind of lower echelon opposition. But you go back to that Minnesota game, and I know that was followed by a Portland game when they were on the road, and I felt they had kind of found themselves a little bit. Things were inching their way back. They were scoring a lot more. Defense was kind of showing its head, but at the same time, you were just plagued with little idiosyncrasies and these problems that just appear, and it relates to a lot of just dumb basketball play, poor low basketball IQ, and you haven't been able to shake some of that. And then I think you get to a point where, because you're not winning, these mistakes just compound themselves, and one mistake leads to another, and then when you get a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and you do another one again, it's just it carries weight to it, and you wish they'd snap out of it. I think they're capable of going out there and still winning a 3 in a row, 4 in a row, whatever, maybe being a 500 basketball team, but clearly being something that, toiled with being around a upper echelon team in the West is just not realistic at this point. So I don't know how they find that. I think people will say they got to make a move. They have to do something. They have to show that they try. And I just, I'm not usually, I mean, maybe I'll ask you guys. I don't feel like I'm pessimistic when it comes to that. I just don't see that there's a move out there that you can do without being bent over a barrel, without totally resetting your franchise. And maybe you can argue you have to do that. I just think a lot of people are going to look at your franchise right now as doing so out of desperation, and they're going to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know. The NBA, there's still value is value, and if you're going to go out and make trades, you have to have something you're offering that somebody else wants. And at this point, I get that there are teams out there that, certainly have they have the want to reset, or they're looking for draft picks or whatever. And every step of the way, I just kind of feel like other teams have better things to offer. from the Kings, and this is kind of why you don't wait until the season starts. This is kind of, like I was talking to Kyle today on the Insiders, and it's kind of like the Kings should have been shopping like everyone else, but like even leading right up to the season, you should have been shopping hard at that point. You knew you had problems. You knew that you had players that weren't going to be able to play. Like it's the Kings had a much better idea about Trey Lyles. They had a much better idea about Kevin Huerter. We were on the outside asking questions about like, hey, do we have a date for these players? Whether it's them or Jordan McLaughlin, who missed all of camp or a good portion of camp, like all of these things. But we don't have the same information they have. And I just can't imagine walking into the season with this type of roster construction, this type of hole or two in your roster, and then not addressing it, and then not being able to address it while other teams are making trades, and then watching your season spin out. I think fans had every right to boo yesterday. Watching that Indiana game, I saw a team quit, and I didn't think we would see that. And, there have been so many times in my career where I've seen a team just flat out quit. And very, very few times is it like what people think. Like they're like dissension in the locker room and all that stuff. It like it's not, I don't think, like, to describe what is losing a locker room. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not like you walk in the locker room and everyone's like, F that coach. That guy sucks. I want him fired. It's never like that. What it is the little murmurs. It's the little things that are starting to float around that start feeling worse and worse and worse. And then you walk into a game like yesterday where a team just flat out quits. And I don't know how else to say it. I didn't think they had that quit in them the day before when they lost to LA. But again, it was the little things. They lost because they didn't box out Rui Hachimura. And they had Anthony Davis miss a pair of free throws, and they would have had the ball left with 8 seconds left, and they lost because they didn't box out. So it is like
no,
these
they
little
lost
things.
because they lost because they got bullied. Let's be honest. I mean, that was the moment in how they lost, but they lost because they got bullied. I mean, they got out physicaled.
Oh yeah,
LeBron James was vintage bully ball performance. I mean, they
he just
got
clowned Keegan
absolutely
Murray, clowned
slapped
him.
in the face. Yeah, they got
Yeah,
slapped in the face, and they pushed. Look, there was no pushback. There was none. There was no pushback. It's like whatever you can bottle up from that Houston game, which I think we can all agree is probably their best performance, probably their best
And
win
like
of the
Phoenix.
season. Well, and I like the way they won the Houston
Phoenix
game,
feels like
right?
like 2 months ago at this point.
Right. Even training camp feels forever ago, And I say that because they absolutely have no fight. They have no bark, no bite, no fight, no nothing. Like I even said it when they were heading up to Minnesota after the debacle. What was it? There was a bad loss here. I can't remember who it was. But I was like, they were gonna have a team meeting. Like, great. I hope you all fight. Like, someone needs to literally turn a table over, like shaken baby syndrome somebody, and absolutely like this. It's crazy because guys, like if you're, I bet if you polled 100% of Kings fans, or just 100 Kings fans, okay, and the media and even the locker room, whose fault is this? And it's not any one person's fault. And that's why when you hear, oh, this front office they need to be shaken up. Monty has to go. Mike Brown needs to be fired. De'Aaron Fox needs to be traded. Domantas Sabonis needs to be traded. You can't win with both those guys together. We're already at that point. Like at this point, you've got a shotgun of things where people want to just say, like, guys, if you trade for Cam Johnson, is it getting better? You trade for, name that, John Collins, is it getting better? Are you going to win? Does that make you third in the West?
I would answer it this way. There was a point in this season where making one of those trades would have helped and maybe could have led to something better. At this point, you got to fix what's wrong with your soul before you worry about adding some other piece.
Right. It's an internal thing. Like there's no move short of pressing a reset button on your franchise. There's which you could argue, should you do that? I mean, I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm not.
Yeah.
look, I mean, bad basketball is bad basketball, and I think there's, with respect, I think that they are who they are at this point. I think that's really the theme of the podcast. I think we've known it for some time. I mean, certainly they have a number of deficiencies. So, yeah, you'd welcome any kind of roster shakeup to a degree, but I'm telling you, roster shakeup for the sake of doing so is going to cost a lot. And that's, to me, what's going to be fascinating to see is there patience involved despite the impatience from fans and media and all that. I mean, there's gonna be pressure, there's gonna be uncomfortable conversations and questions, and there's gonna be all these guys are gonna feel the pressure. I mean, every one of them, from that front office to that coaching staff to those players and even the ownership group, are all like in a pan together right now, and it's all hot. And I think it's probably hotter under a lot of them. It's probably hotter under some than others, but yeah, man, there's just a number of things you could beat your head against the wall with this team right now. And Merry Christmas.
The only thing I'd question on if a trade could drastically change things is, we'll keep going with the Cam Johnson example. Even if he might be expensive, they might get outbid or whatever it may be. Have you guys actually ever seen an aspect of a deadline move sort of reinvigorating a team? Because the answer does, if they're getting better, it has to become internal being better as well. But like, can a move turn things around like that?
Yeah, Ron Artest.
Oh no, that's true. Yeah, Peja Stojakovic for Ron Artest. They turned the season around, and a guy walked in the door and very, very like stoutly said, "Hey, we're going to make the playoffs."
But to your point, to the broader point, Brenden, does Ron Artest ain't coming through that door?
Right.
No.
Right.
So no, and that's the problem. Like I would like to tell you that there's just some solution that makes sense, and I'll tell you this, man. For as much as Cam Johnson is mentioned, and I think Cam Johnson would be a nice addition, I got to be honest. Like, he's the same personality the rest of this team. Like, he's a dude who's faded throughout his career, who has had long stretches of just like, hey, are you ever going to get there? Like, and just because he's putting up 18.5 points on a bad Nets team, that doesn't mean that like he's going to do that anywhere else, or that he's going to bring the type of personality that you need to change things. And to be honest with you, I can't think of one of the guys that are mentioned in relations to the Kings that would actually make a difference in that way. Like, if you're soft, Brenden, Domantas Sabonis stuck around. We stuck around and talked to Domas on Saturday, and he told us we just were soft. We played soft. Like, who is walking through that door that can fix that problem? That can fix it? Like, that's a heart problem. That's a given F problem. And I don't know that there's somebody out there that could walk through that door, because I guarantee you, Kyle Kuzma is not it. Brandon Ingram's not it. Like, are they talent upgrades? Yes, but are they dudes who walk in the door and instantly hold people accountable and start pushing the tempo and start demanding that everybody else step up? No. So I don't know. That's the one thing that, when you get to this far gone with a group of players, I don't know what to do. And I know what teams typically do. They typically start by firing their coach, and then they get to the end of the season, and when things didn't turn around, they're not going to allow the same general manager and / assistant general manager, because I'm lumping these two dudes in together. Like, there is no Monty does this and Wes does that. This is a Wes and Monty thing in my book. And if you're going to go into this offseason, are those the two that you want hiring the next coach for the Sacramento Kings, if you are going to press the nuclear button here? And if they're not the two dudes that you're going to trust to go hire the next coach, then, if you're not sure about them, you don't let them sign another coach to a 4-year deal.
Well, and to that point, let's play the game here. If you don't trust them, you don't have the faith in them to do their job. Like, how do you have faith in them to move future assets for something to help you in the now, or even trade a franchise centerpiece? The answer is you wouldn't. So,
well, but you're
if that's the case,
the deadline,
right?
So.
And if that's the case, then if you're asking someone to save their jobs and their career and to turn something around with a very tertiary move, I don't know. That's a tough. I mean, there's only one person that can answer that, and his name's Vivek Ranadive.
Brenden?
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, and I mean, it feels like people are fighting for their jobs with just given the state of the team, obviously, and there's only so much you can do. Like it feels like either you commit to moving off Fox, and that's the plan moving forward, or you try to do something to convince him to stay, and you have more belief that what you have internally right now is better than the production and record that we've seen so far. They're the only team with a negative
Yeah.
record.
I'd say the other part of that though is you have a lot of things that are going wrong right now, and you have to, excuse me 1 second.
It's very abrupt.
Sean disappeared. Go ahead, Brenden. You were going to say something about numbers.
Yeah, it's they're the only team with a positive net rating or point differential that has a negative record right now. They look like they should be a lot better than they have been. They're 3-10 in games decided by 5 points or less. Like I feel like they've been competitive almost every night, and sometimes that's to a fault. Obviously, that shouldn't be the case against the Portland Trailblazers, for example, or they've taken care of business against the Jazz. But then you have, no matter if they're up or down at the beginning of a game, I feel like we're in for a close one. And obviously the most recent Indiana one's a bad example of that. But I think there also has to be a belief that like they're better than what we've seen.
I think they're better than what we've seen. I think everybody is surprised that they're in the situation that they're in.
100%.
Right.
And I think to a man, all of them are surprised. Like, do they know they need something else? Do they know that there's an ingredient missing? Yeah, but they did not think that this season was going to go like this. And I think Mike, number one, he called out De'Aaron this last week. Number two, he went back to the whole, are you in, or are you out? Do you have both feet in, or do you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out? And that's a direct, he's aiming that at somebody. Like, who isn't all the way in right now? And I can get it a little bit because, I mean, if you're a coach who, again, if Mike Brown, let's just say, later on tonight or tomorrow morning, Mike Brown gets fired. And look, I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility, just so everyone knows. This team is in a dark place, and usually everyone points fingers at the head coach first, and then you go from there. But let's just say that that's what happens. He's perfectly fine. He's going to walk away with $20 million or something. And he's going to move on with his life, and he'll be an assistant coach. He might get another head coaching job, but that'll be going on for a long time. For years. He'll be in the league for another 12 to 15 years. And look, the other thing I would say, all those people out there that are so incredibly amped up about Mike Brown and whether, he needs to go and all that stuff. I just hate to tell you this. Mike Brown has won more games as an NBA coach than any of these players have won, that anyone in that front office has won, and certainly anyone in that ownership group has ever won. He is a very good coach, and just to throw him out and be the default setting is, hey, let's blame the coach and move on. It's asinine. If you're coaching for your life, I understand going into a game and playing 3 veterans off the bench. I do. It might not feel comfortable for everybody in the room, and we hear fans chanting for Keon Ellis. I hate to tell those fans, but who scored 5 points the previous 2 games? It was Keon Ellis. And I'm not calling Keon out. I'm just saying, if you're coaching for your life, I'm going with some veterans too. I get it. I don't, I don't love the idea of going to Doug McDermott, and the second he starts missing shots, I'm probably going a different direction. Maybe I have more problems with that Mike didn't switch it up after he decided to go with some sort of different lineup. But at the end of the day, I get it. You always see every coach goes to their veterans when things hit the wall. And
I think that was the interesting part, because again, I have not been a guy who's been totally upset with the rotations of Mike Brown up until maybe this 4-game homestand so far. I mean, I know there's a 5th game coming up, but through these 4 games, it's been something that has been pretty puzzling. That game might have been the crescendo of it, because really, it's your 3rd game in 4 nights, and you need fresh legs, you need bodies. This is a team that was just kind of, I mean, you saw it. Look, I know it was the Pacers game, it was tied 52-52 at halftime. So what? Like, they were playing terribly even in the first half. I mean, there were moments where you're just like, where is this team right now? What are they doing? I get it. It's a 3:00 game, 3 games in 4 nights. I mean, legs aren't there. And to not see two of the guys that absolutely bring you a spark plug is questionable. And also, it was the tightest rotation, the rotation had been over the homestand. And I think that's what it was equally puzzling. So I understand the frustration there of the Kings. Certainly, I know there's reasons that Keon Ellis, who, let's face it, guys, I mean, this guy's not a future Hall of Famer yet. I mean, he's not in that discussion. Keon Ellis is not above being a DNP when you've lost 3 straight at that time. But if you're looking to do something different, I understand it. But that was an odd one to me, especially when you needed some life just injected into your team.
On the Keon thing, since everybody, well, first of all, just like shortened rotation, it was Trey Lyles going to the 5, right, is what they did in that game. He's also playing those minutes at the 4, so then you're kind of scrapping whatever backup center option you may typically have. And then Doug McDermott gets that spot, and Mike Brown was pretty clear post-game. It was for a need for shooting. He felt like in that Denver game, even though, by the way, I thought it was a pretty poor defensive start and Doug being part of that, but that Doug provided something when it came to spacing the floor, and people be Keon's a 40 whatever percent 3-point shooter. Like, it's different coming off movement, and the way that Doug is sprinting around the floor, that's a different level of 3-point shooter beyond just how many do you make, how many do you miss. So I can follow the logic there. And even in this Indiana game, like, the offense was the defense was an issue too, but offensively they couldn't keep up. This is the 3rd game in a row they've scored 100 or less points. And so I get leaning towards the offense a little bit. That's not to say that I wouldn't have gone Keon Ellis in that spot, but it's not that's not the issue in the game. And sure, it can be something that people point at. I get it, but it feels like that has taken over so much of the conversation online, and it's just so much beyond that. We've joked around a bunch of me getting a Keon Ellis tattoo. I love Keon Ellis. He's not changing everything here, and he has his flaws in transition. Keegan Murray, by the way, struggling in transition. I mean, in general, but like in transition, it's pretty gross. I feel like Kevin Huerter will slow the pace in transition, kind of throw off momentum you may have there. And Keon Ellis does the same thing. Like, the ball handling isn't quite there. If he gets pressured full court, can he bring the ball all the way up the court after getting turned around a few times? At what point are you in the shot clock there? Like, he has his flaws, and he's a defensive playmaker, spot up shooter. I get it. He's not fixing everything here.
Yeah, and I would also point out that Doug McDermott shooting 40.7% from 3. He's literally, Keon Ellis is shooting 40.4. Like, when it comes down to it, yes, Keon Ellis is a much better defender than Doug McDermott. But that doesn't change the fact of what you just said. Like, Doug he has a gravitational pull that Keon Ellis just doesn't have. And it's because of the movement. It's because of what he does. And like, look, I'm not saying play Doug McDermott over Keon Ellis. I'm the one who literally before the season said I would start Keon Ellis no matter what. I would start him. He would be my starting shooting guard. I thought he did enough last season. At the end of the year, he's a good enough 3-point shooter. If it doesn't go well, then I go a different direction. That's not what we've seen. They hit the panic button way too quick on putting Malik Monk into the starting lineup, in my opinion. And then once you did that, it's over. It's done with. And I looked at the court, and I think I didn't see a problem. The fact that it didn't work the first time, I probably would have even given it a shot the second time. But if I've got De'Aaron Fox with Trey Lyles running small ball center and Kevin Huerter and Doug McDermott and Keegan Ellis, like I'm at Keegan Murray, I saw the idea. It's De'Aaron Fox with 4 shooters and a small ball center. Like, it looked like it's something that you would hope that the Kings would turn to in certain times. Like, go small. That's fine. It just didn't work. Guys didn't hit shots.
And let's be honest, I know it's garbage time and people had, really headed for the exits by the time he did get off the bench. But if that's me and I'm Keon Ellis and I'm dealing with some of that and I'm like, oh, I didn't play, I'm coming out with some force, and he didn't. I mean, they look bad. I mean, I'm not trying to evaluate garbage time minutes, but like, you didn't play
Jarrett
at all.
Walker threw it off the backboard, caught it, threw it to Thomas Bryant in the corner. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
That's an entire team. It's an entire team that gave in. And
The
that's
Kings are the Kings are the opponent. For opponents come in here and look at the Kings as the get right game.
yeah.
This is where we're going to get ours. We're going to be able to turn things around. And I mean, you look at JJ Redick say that the Thursday game that they played against the Kings was his favorite win all year. From what they've experienced together. And it's like, let's not kid anybody. That team has been through some ups and downs themselves, mainly downs. And yeah, right now, no one's feeling sorry for the Kings. They're coming in here trying to get right.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I've never seen a Kings team ever be this bad at home. I'm gonna make a statement here, and I hope it isn't taken the wrong way. I do think that teams come in and want to punk the Kings at home because of the beam. I don't think it's like the overarching, hey, screw that team, but I do think it's one of those things that teams around the league go, yeah, you're not doing that on me tonight. And you've heard even Draymond Green say, yeah, we sat there in the playoffs 2 years ago, and we could see the beam outside our window from our hotel rooms. I think there is something to that, but to not come out and play with force and not to play with any physicality or like oomph on your home floor, and not only that, but to jack up ticket prices so you have 2,000 open seats every night and then not have a product on the floor that makes sense. It's a recipe for disaster. And that's where I drag like everybody is involved in what's happening here and the failure of this season so far. And again, I don't know what the easy fix is, but I certainly know one of the things that will happen down the stretch of the season is they're going to start giving away tickets because there's going to be less and less fans who show up to watch what's become really bad basketball.
Yeah. Are you for getting rid of the beam? I mean, I get it that it becomes bulletin board material and something extra that people can play for, but I
No,
don't think I'm at the
I'm
point
not
where
saying that.
that's kind of what you are now. So
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be better.
what the
Like,
what the Kings need to do though is manufacture their own, like whatever their bulletin board material is you need to go out there and you need to pummel. You have to absolutely strike first, and they just don't. That's the part where it just looks so often that guys will coast through games, and you're just wondering if they're going to flip a switch, or too much hero ball is happening. I mean, that was a big topic in the locker room last night, is how awful the ball movement was. I know Mike Brown talked about how bad the ball movement was after, I believe, the Denver game. Brennan probably remember more than I do.
Pretty sure.
But then, guys are like, yeah, we come down here, we might make one pass and chuck a shot. I mean, it's just, and then the crazy thing is once the team goes on a run, there's just no response. They just absolutely, and I agree with you, James. I think they absolutely quit. I think there was a competitive let up, but I also feel like, and I know I'm not trying to make excuses for the team, but when you have a 3-4, here's a fourth straight loss, nothing's going right. That's just natural. And if you don't come out and absolutely, put a beat down on Detroit, that would be concerning, especially with the days off that you have leading up to it. But what do we know about those types of games? Typically, a lot of teams don't play well after a long absence. So
specifically, the Kings don't play well after a long absence. Go ahead, Brendan.
Yeah, I think they had their 12-point quarter and 29-point first half after a 3-day absence against the Clippers. They had another extended rest recently, came out super flat. It's hard. They just need to be better. And sometimes, teams will take on the identity of their best player. And it kind of feels like everything going on with De'Aaron Fox right now is, it's just a cloud over the team's head a little bit. I don't know that necessarily gotten that impression from speaking guys in locker room or anything like that, but it just lines up timing wise. And De'Aaron is also a player that I think has his lulls throughout the course of a game on a quarter to quarter or, whatever stint he may be playing basis. And we're seeing the Kings do the same thing. Like, as much as, I understand De'Aaron's perspective and I think that he's reasonable to look around the room and be like, all right, is what's really going on here? What am I doing with my career? There is an aspect of like, he needs to be a little bit better here as well. And it's not just him. You could put it on Domas. DeMar has been really, really struggling as of late. But the stars are not getting it done for this team. And that was supposed to be the most reliable aspect. Like coming into the year, I thought of them as a pretty high floor team because they did have that basis of, their star power, and what you're going to get from these three guys. Malik Monk maybe a little bit more inconsistent, but you're going to get a lot out of him more nights than not. And the stars are not producing. Maybe Domas mostly, and De'Aaron is having the best year of his career, but there's too many instances where you're like, what was De'Aaron doing for 5 minutes?
I don't agree that De'Aaron's having the best year of his career. Like, I'm watching him, and I don't agree with it. Like, I've watched every game that dude's ever played, and I don't buy the numbers. I don't buy the numbers. Like, I'm watching the first 6 minutes of every game and going, like, whatever is happening on the court is happening to you. It's not happening because of you. Every game. And so, like, I get it. He ends up coming out in his second tour of duty in every game. He comes back in at the 3-minute mark at the end of the first, and he begins the second quarter. Okay. I mean, do we all know that he's playing against mostly second-team players at that point? Like, I don't buy it. Like, the numbers don't match up with the player that I've seen. I've seen him have the best 2 games of his career this season. But outside of that, hey, take those away, and what's he averaging? 24 a game? So, I get it. Like, there's a lot of pressure on him to be great this season. There's a lot of pressure to be all NBA and so he can get Supermax contract. But the player that we're watching right now is not, well, I mean, like, players on teams that are 13 and 17 don't make all NBA unless you're Luka Doncic. Then you still get to make all NBA, but that's not what De'Aaron Fox is at this point. And so I'm confused with all of that talk. And I don't like the feel around this team at all. Like, the vibe is bad. And, like, I don't think, again, the players aren't sitting there like saying horrible things about each other or anything else. It doesn't, Domas telling us, hey, we all still love each other. I get it. But then what's wrong? Because what you saw yesterday was embarrassing. Like, I'm sitting there like, man, you're wasting my time. Like, that's the second half.
James made it about him.
No, you and I, like, we're sitting there.
Turned it into him.
Are we literally having to watch this? Like, I've watched some of the worst basketball in the history of the game over the first, like, 12 years of my career. I've seen this play out before. I've seen it play out. It's just I didn't expect it from this group of players. Like, when it's, named that dude who's on his last NBA contract that we won't see again in the league because he's in his last NBA hurrah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense when you got the lowest payroll in the league and you're just cashing in checks the final 30 games of a season. But at this point, like, oof, I'm stunned. Sean, you think it's all about me?
No,
You think?
no, I love the joke there because you turned their playing bad into something about you. No, I think there's not really a whole lot to say there. I mean, there's just what this team is going through is you hope they find themselves. And I kind of asked Domantas Sabonis this last night. And by the way, I mean, I'm going to put him aside because what that guy goes through night in, night out.
I too am going to.
I think he's been probably their best player. I think he's been their
without
best
any
player.
question.
There's just no, yeah. So,
actually, Sean, I want to add something. Like,
go ahead.
I don't know if people know this. Like, no one on the team thought he would play yesterday at all. They saw him after the game on Saturday and thought he was done. He rolled his ankle in that game. Plus, he has the back problem. He's got a super tender back right now. He showed up the next morning, was like, "What do you mean I'm not playing?" Like, no, I'm playing. Like, he's playing Indiana, his former team. Like, that dude is a warrior. What he goes out there every single night, and it might not be perfect. I'm not saying he's a perfect player.
No,
I mean, again, like, he rolled his ankle, and that was probably part of the reason why he didn't get the rebound against Rui Hachimura. Like, the lift wasn't there, but at the same time, like, dude, I'm not putting a bunch of blame on Domantas Sabonis either. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, and just the asking him, it's like, you've got several days to prepare for this game, and Christmas is in the middle of it. Like, okay, that's fine, but like, soul searching, call it whatever it is. Like they just have to, we've had a lot of weird conversations with players lately where it's like even De'Aaron Fox after the Laker game, you got to find your enjoyment of the game again. And that's I think there's some a little bit of a psychology there where he's kind of talking to himself a little bit because he doesn't look like he's having fun. Everything that they do looks so compounded. I don't see. I watched a timeout the other day or last night. Coaches are away from the huddle, and there was nothing but silence on that bench until Domas and Kevin Huerter started speaking a little about. And I was like, how is it that just absolutely nobody is talking? Like it's and that was like in the third quarter. I want to say maybe early fourth.
I think De'Aaron just had a bad turnover right before that, and I was watching half to see like, how much is he about to be like, yeah, my bad, and just silence.
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah, the frustration level is crazy.
Look, winning can cure all, and certainly you get a win or two, whatever. I mean, you can see how good this team was feeling after winning 3 straight, just before this 4-game slide. The scoring was up. There was an enjoyment, and Kevin Huerter was talking about it. I think it was yesterday, like in terms of the ball movement and how much energy that gives players, guys being able to touch the ball. Like, absolutely do it. Whatever it is that you have to be able to get your scoring back because it's so crucial. I think some of the things they've done defensively over that stretch was okay, and I'll say this, man, like, I know you're talking about De'Aaron Fox a minute ago and his scoring and all that kind of stuff. And to that, like, I've been of the opinion for a while now and talking to people that I don't know that having De'Aaron Fox be a 29, 30 points on average is sustainable for success. You have to be able to find that from within. And I think that's why you have a DeMar DeRozan here. I think that's why you have Malik Monk back on the team. You want to be a team that has capable scorers and being able to take over fourth quarter is the way that they are, but they might be the most disappointing team. Disappointing team that I've seen of their version of the Sacramento Kings in these 3 years under Mike Brown. This might be the most disappointing I've seen from them in the fourth quarter thus far, because what they do in the fourth quarter is just so absolutely puzzling. So they got a lot to work that these next few days, man. Like, I'm curious to see what the vibe will be like in practice. I think more times than not, the vibe is usually generally good, even with losing teams in practice. Like, they feel that they're leaving their problems behind. But I just feel like you have so many things going wrong with this team that maybe you just hyper focus on one and just take that little step forward and whatever it is. And you just hope that, again, someone's got patience not to make a knee-jerk reaction that might need to happen. But I don't know that I'm there yet. Like, if someone said to me, Sean, like if I'm Monty McNair, for example, I'm on the phones every day trying to make my team better, and I don't think that's I don't think that's different from the reality. I think, James, you mentioned about going into training camp. Like, I think they were absolutely hoping to have different players going into training camp. I think the Jay Crowder situation is a little bit related to some of that, how he comes in and, by the way, doesn't get into any of these games. Like, that's wild to me. For anyone wondering, with the back wrap, he's fine. Like, there's no that he's had that for his career.
Before training camp, they brought Jay Crowder in. He worked out with the team for a week, and then they didn't sign him. And they didn't sign him, and then they signed Doug McDermott, who they didn't bring in. And one of them plays offense and one of them plays defense. Not that I think it would be like the end all be all, but if you wanted to build something and you wanted a personality change, Jay Crowder during training camp made sense. Like, Jay Crowder is a tough guy. He is a guy who's like,
that's what I'm talking about in terms of what's related to that. Like, I think they thought that their team would look different. And I think that not having Jay Crowder there was because they thought their team would look different, that they were going to have some sort of a few different players than they ended up with. So, but I don't know, man. Like, it's
they knew the entire time that Trey Lyles wasn't going to play probably until the beginning of the season. They knew that Kevin Huerter wasn't going to be cleared. They know the dates. Like, we don't know the dates. but they knew the
Right,
dates.
but that's in terms. I'm not talking in terms of health, James. I'm talking in terms of thinking that they would have been able to make a move transactionally that would have kept the need of a Jay Crowder in training camp away.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it didn't happen that way. So, yeah, for whatever reason, he has a contract now, and it's guaranteed for the rest of the season, and he's not playing.
Yep. Okay, let's get to the business of basketball. The business of basketball. You just left us hanging?
I kind of joked there. I'm not gonna lie. I was like between two sounds, and neither happened. See, I lost my pop mic though, my pop filter, and so that might have been a little.
What in the world does just happen to us, Sean?
Yeah,
he just Sacramento Kings his bit.
I did.
Jesus, he did. He
Yeah.
totally fourth quartered us.
We did. We got to
Never go.
time,
Never go
didn't
full
happen.
Kings.
Never go fourth quarter Kings. He doesn't even know what we're talking about, Sean.
No.
We're making Tropic Thunder references over here. Brenden has no idea. It's fine.
I've seen Tropic Thunder actually.
Okay. We'll see.
Didn't age well.
How do you fix it? Like if there is
Shut
one
up,
thing.
James.
No. I think like. Do you think a trade? Do you think firing somebody? Like, what is it that like if you had to make the decision here? Like, how do I try to hit some sort of reset button and make this thing something different than it is today? Because what today is very, very dark. Like it's cloudy and rainy and one of those days that Sean hates. He's sitting there in the dark and
My bunker.
In your bunker. It's just Sean's face and nothing else. Just like a floating face
head
was sitting there.
Yeah. If it's me, now this is taking out the factor of what you may or may not be allowed to do in the general manager spot, specifically with the Kings. I kind of lean towards fully reset. Like I already was at that point previously, for what it's worth. Like before they brought in Domas, you need a number one option on a team if you're eventually trying to get to a championship point. And De'Aaron Fox is the closest thing you have to that. Now, obviously, big question mark on if he could eventually reach that guy. But you move on from him. What is your path to ever getting another one? It's always kind of bottoming out. And I know that process sucks, and I'm looking at it very, your eventual goal is a championship. And sometimes, you do just want to be competitive. But I kind of lean reset, especially if the spot is to move on from Fox, because to what Sean was saying earlier, if you're trying to convince him to stay, I don't know if there's any move that's going to reasonably do that. I think it's possible. It seems like pretty low odds though. And then all of a sudden you're just in an even worse spot moving forward. But there are teams that have been able to retool after moving on from a star. And, it's not the quickest process all the time, but it's personally where I would go. But I also understand the, 17 years of not making the playoffs and the situation that the Kings are in as an organization and why that's a tough sell in general. But I kind of think you're losing your only guy in this scenario that could even flirt with being a number one option, if you want to say that. And so how do you ever get another one? And to me, it's bottoming out. And that's the main piece that you have to figure out on a team for long-term roster construction.
My opinion on that, it's so incredibly difficult for them to bottom out at this point. Like you're looking at where they are right now and thinking, oh, this could get worse. It can get worse, but there's a difference between getting worse and being a bottom 3 or 4 team in order to get a star. And it could happen this season that's just who they are. But if you're still walking out of this with Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis and a couple other pieces, and whatever you get for De'Aaron Fox, I don't think you're still a low 30s team. And that means you're going to be stuck at that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 range for a long time. So, I mean, I get it. If you're going to trade one, you're probably going to have to trade them all.
Right. Which is, more so just again, the direction I would go, definitely not what I would expect. But if you are trying to convince the guys to stay, I mean, I think you need to entertain Malik Monk and Keegan Murray in trade conversations if you actually want to make a move sizable enough that's potentially going to change things.
Sean?
Yeah, I don't. I
He
hate
doesn't
to
want to
not
play
play
this
the
game.
game. No, because I don't. I mean, look, let's do it with the trade market, right? I think I'd mentioned this last podcast. Like some of these guys that you're giving up draft capital to come off your bench, that's just stupid. Like, what are you doing? Especially for some of these bigger targets, you're getting these bigger targets, guys, to put with Domantas Sabonis to get him help. You're not bringing him off the bench. So, yeah, the answer would be to put Monk back on the bench, or to put Keegan on the bench, or to put DeRozan on
to
the
put
bench.
DeMar DeRozan on the bench, who
Right.
scored 2
Which I
points
think
yesterday,
is
and last 4 games it's been absolutely horrible for him.
right. But at least he hasn't had a whole season of it, like Keegan Murray on the offensive end. And Malik Monk, you know what you're going to get with him coming off the bench anyway. So anyway, to that point, if you're going out there, you're saying goodbye to some of your draft capital to bring in a guy that is he going to help you that much? Is he? Will he? Can you go find that player? I'm not firing Mike Brown. I don't think this is entirely his fault. I think there's a lot of things you can pick at for sure, but that exists with any coach. You just extended Mike Brown for doing exactly what he does. You know, he practices all the time. Like there's things that certainly you can be critical of. But I'm not firing Mike Brown. Not in the middle of this season. The front office, I mean, eventually you have to go and be able to do something. I'm still commending them for their acquisition of DeMar DeRozan. But I'm also remembering that you signed, or you went after, you traded for someone like, Jaden McDaniels or Jalen McDaniels. That'd be awesome if they had Jaden, but they got Jalen. That didn't work. He was very bad. Now, granted, that move led to them being able to get DeMar DeRozan and freed up some money to be able to do it.
Not
really. And then there's,
just so you
know. It did to a degree. I mean, you're staying under the aprons. You're being able to move money around, and you didn't use your mid-level exception and all these things. Like you bring in Jordan McLaughlin, who does a lot of the things you need from your players. He's just 5 foot nothing.
Okay, so this is like I'm going to be a little more
to me,
harsh.
We've talked about the roster imbalance. Like I'm not necessarily blowing up my front office to a degree, but if I don't have the faith in them to either make a move they really want to make, or if I'm not confident enough to give them the keys to be able to do something, then you have to have those discussions. So again, no matter what you do, it really all falls on Vivek Ranadive and what he wants to do.
No, I'm with you there. It does. I mean, this is all going to come down to, Vivek. And to be honest, at this point, I think, while I don't think he wanted to be patient like this whole time, like the frustration has like boiled over a couple of times early. I do think he has shown patience, and like as far as the front office, that's where I'm not going to let him off the hook. The DeMar DeRozan thing, like in all honesty, like he's a great player, but you spent a lot of money on a 35-year-old guy who doesn't fit your system at all. And I get you want more playmaking, you want all these things, but like I just don't see where any advanced statistics would have backed that move. And trading, squandering the number 9 overall pick on Davion Mitchell and then trading 3 second-round picks to get rid of him, like that doesn't make any money. They didn't clear up enough money to do anything in any of those deals. And so you can say, oh, the Sasha thing. Well, if Sasha walked away from his $6.5-7 million contract, I hope the Kings knew that whether he would have done that for them or not. Because if not, you realistically traded 2 second-round picks to Toronto with Davion and Sasha, so they would take Sasha's contract. And if you're going to trade Davion for Jalen McDaniels, okay, that's fine. Like if you're just going to do like, hey, we're not going to go sunk cost here. We're just going to get off the player because we don't know how he fits into our rotation, whatever. Right. But then to have to give up another second-round pick to go dump Jalen McDaniels, 3 second-round picks, and all you cleared in the end was like $6 million of $5.5 million of an expiring Davion Mitchell, which would have value to you today as an expiring contract. And so for me, it's the mismanagement of that. It's the it's drafting a player for a ready-made roster that can't play for 6 to 8 months. That's a problem. It's going through 2 trade deadlines, and in one trade deadline you acquired Kessler Edwards and cash, and another trade deadline you acquired Robin Lopez and cash and waived him. That's 2 trade deadlines. Like, where is the urgency to build something that's lasting? Because bringing in a 35-year-old player, if that's Sean, I'm not gonna like disagree with you. Like, it's at least an interesting play. That should have set your urgency up like to level 10, because you just made the move for a 35-year-old on a 2-year deal with a third year, team option for, but you still owe him $12 million. Like, you're the one who made a window. Before that, your window was like 7 years. Now your window is 2 years, and the first year of it is going so poorly that, like, where is the sense of urgency? And so I get it. I don't know what else you do. You can try to play Isaac Jones every single night, and I guarantee you fans out there that will go really, really well about 50% of the time. And I like Isaac Jones. He's a good kid, but he's learning. He has so little experience as a basketball player. It's crazy. Go read his story. It's crazy. So I don't know what the solution is.
Their
And
worst net rating is when Domas sits, of all the guys that rest. Like, that has not worked out well. That's why the Athletic mentioned the backup center as, reported something they're also looking at. But how much is that really helping you? I get it, but that's putting, tape over something that is completely cut in half.
yeah, you're basically doing Band-Aid solutions.
Right.
Well, and I'm not trying to, say, shame on Mike Brown for not playing Orlando Robinson or anything like that, but you literally have some pieces in your bench that I wouldn't call quality depth, but you have pieces that you really either they're certain of can't play, but I'd say we haven't really seen it. And I was talking to someone the other day. It's like Orlando Robinson was the best G League player, the best big G League player there was. Now, granted, sometimes it doesn't translate to the NBA, but there's obviously not
Keita came in second in MVP.
There's
was
obviously
all
not
G League, and they didn't resign him. Well, they waived him.
Well, then again, there's obviously not a faith there or a belief that he can come in and do it. So, how do you get beyond that?
But you have a coach who relies on veterans. I mean, we saw it last year very specifically when they cut Nemi and they cut Nerlens Noel and brought in JaVale McGee. Like, he's a guy who plays veterans. When things go wrong, you get Doug McDermott over Keon Ellis. You're going to live with the mistakes of a veteran because at least you're going to be in the right spot that over the mistakes of a young player. And again, you would hope that things wouldn't go so poorly, so you wouldn't have to make that decision. But it's kind of where you are. And you lost the game before and the game before that, and Keon Ellis played plenty in both of those games. And I don't think it was Keon Ellis's fault they lost either of those games, but you also are getting your ass kicked by every other bench in the NBA. Like, at some point, you got to find somebody that can score off your bench. So again, Doug McDermott, it didn't work out, but it did work out a couple of games earlier when he scored 16 points as a starter. He had 18 points in scrub time a week and a half ago. Like, he's shown signs that he's coming around and he's shooting over 40% from three. Like, I get the idea. It just, like, in practice, it's not working out. And, the fans want to chant Keon. They want to boo. I don't blame them, either one of them. But, it kind of is what it is at this point.
And you said you would do what now?
I wouldn't fire the coach. At this point, I would try my best to make some sort of move, to make my team better. Not because I have to make a move. I got to make my team better. So whatever that is, I don't care if it's marginally better, but like, you got to have other options. You got to have somebody 6'8", 6'9" with a long wingspan that can play defense at the 3 or the 4. And like, there are all kinds of levels of that at the NBA level and all kinds of versions of that. But the fact that you don't have one, outside of Keegan, and Keegan's having an absolutely atrocious season, like you got to find some way to fix it. And if not, just know that one nuclear button, hitting one button, it leads to the next button, to the next button, to the next button. And then we start all of this over again next summer with a disgruntled franchise player and on his way out, and a new general manager, a new head coach, and a whole bunch of other problems coming at you. So
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, let's get to our final thoughts. Actually, before we get to the final thoughts, I want to say something that before we hit them, because it's I just want to kind of finish up the darkness here. As an A's fan my whole life, absolutely heartbroken with the death of Rickey Henderson over the weekend, and like thoughts and prayers with his family. He's about to turn 66 on Christmas Day. An absolutely tremendous baseball player. He's the player I grew up with my entire life, idolizing him. I went to games when I was a kid, and would heckle him in the stands, sitting in the left field bleachers with my friends. That's what we did. But talk about just like an ambassador of the Oakland A's, an ambassador of baseball, and just gone way too soon. So I wanted to make sure we got that in there before we did final thoughts. And I'm sure, Sean, you got to meet him. I never did get to meet him, which is a sad thing for me, because I would have loved to have sat down and talked to Rickey Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, you heard all the stories about how he references himself in the third person, calls himself Rickey all the time, and I think the first time I met him was probably 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. There you go. Some forgery of a signature on your baseball there.
It's a great looking signature, though.
No, my brother got it from him at a spring training game.
No, and he lived up to. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. He lived up to everything.
Sean's gonna cry.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry. You see me keep pulling out a frame. I keep sneezing, so I apologize.
We thought you were doing blow, Sean. It's okay.
No, I did that too, but when it goes
Chasing
up
the dragon,
is that what it's called?
Yeah, that was way too specific of lingo.
There's a million different things it's called.
Okay.
Huh.
Go ahead.
You learn something every day.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Snowball. What do you got for us?
Sorry about that. Oh, another one. Jeez. So yeah, no, I actually got to spend a little bit of time with him, and then one of the things that kind of floored me that he did before the Giants changed their affiliation for AAA in Sacramento with the River Cats is he came in, spent like a week, and then he's out there coaching first base, and it, like, the time he spent with some of these players, you could hear the conversations were just, most of them I couldn't repeat here, but they're just incredible. And then literally watching him, like, I've got an ISO on him, just, his mannerisms, what he does as a coach, how he's seeing a guy on first, giving him a sign to go, was really cool.
Yeah. Crushing.
More and more robotic as that went on there.
Yeah.
Sean's losing his voice.
Yeah. I got more into baseball recently, so grown more of an appreciation for, I think, context of everything that Rickey did throughout his career. But my dad was a big A's fan growing up. Actually happened to text me in the middle of this. I think, old man a little bit behind the news, but said that today's a sad day and everything, and the impact that Rickey kind of had on him. But saw like a conversation yesterday about who's if you could pick any player in MLB history to be your leadoff hitter, who would it be? There's a decent amount of Rickey Henderson in there.
Yeah, there's no question. It's Rickey Henderson. Yeah. I think the amazing thing is it took Barry Bonds leading the league like 9 consecutive years in walks at the end of his career to surpass Rickey Henderson as the all-time walk leader. And no pitcher in their right mind would ever want to walk Rickey Henderson, because he'd be standing at third base in like a matter of a minute or two. Like, once he got on, you were done. And that just speaks volumes. Like, again, he's second all time in walks in Major League Baseball history, and it's because like he had a great eye and fought off pitches. But again, that's the last dude you ever wanted on base. Where Barry Bonds got ushered to like, what was it, 99 times one time, intentional walks in one season. Like, just go ahead and stand at first. We're good.
Incredible.
We don't want you with a bat on your shoulder. Yeah, just absolutely crazy. So, all right, let's get to final thoughts. R.I.P. Rickey. Really sad day for baseball in general, but specifically Oakland A's fans who have gone through a tremendous amount of losses this last season. Sean, what do you got? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Boy, look at me being Johnny optimistic. Is it possible, guys?
Dare
Oh,
I say
gosh.
possible?
Is it possible, being 4 games under 500, that it's not all that bad?
It's bad, but it could turn good fairly quickly.
I'm drug
How
testing
good?
both of you
How
after
good?
this podcast.
I'm just saying, a win, like, I feel like I've had the mindset the whole time that one win streak could change a lot, and I still think they're talented enough to do so. But
Right.
last night's game was definitely, I mean, Sean, you were asking about it. You mentioned it on here, like, that's the lowest point for sure. And so my confidence in that happening is lower than it's been all year. But I've always thought, like, one win streak changes a lot.
And by the way, that doesn't mean you just shelf any conversation of, making changes or doing something different, or even, dare I say, blowing it up. I'm just saying, is it possible that they're not this bad, that it is able to be turned around?
Possible.
Okay, Brenden, would you have final thoughts? I don't.
I don't really, to be honest. I thought I did when you first asked, and then I swear I had something in my head, and I've been trying to remember the whole time Sean was talking, and it's gone. I have no final thoughts. I appreciate everybody for listening, and happy holidays, people.
Well, it
Enjoy
was a
your time with your
question.
family.
Yeah, what's your
Brendan
question?
answered. No, why I just asked, is it possible they can turn it around?
Oh, I said, yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
All things
James
are
didn't
possible.
participate.
All things are possible. I
That's a
just
good way to put it.
All things are not possible, by the way.
like Sean.
That
Sean,
is
I'll be honest.
literally. Go ahead.
I walked into that game. I walked out of that game last night, and I thought to myself, I have seen this at least like 6 or 7 times in the past, where a team flat out quit, and this is the beginning of the end. And I don't know that I feel that much different today, except for nothing dramatic happened today, and I'm surprised. Nothing dramatic happened today, and we move on to the next. And so,
You're surprised?
yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, just the basic, turn around the club. And like, look, I like Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown is an exceptional coach. Do I think he's Phil Jackson? No. But like, I think Mike has done a really good. I mean, he took a team that won 30 games and won 48 the next and 46 a year after that. He snapped a 17 year, 16 season playoff drought. Like, Mike Brown, I don't think is the problem here. Now it can be some players' reactions to Mike Brown. It can be all kinds of things, but I don't know that there's a way for this team to like blink and reset the season and climb out of this thing without something happening. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they figure it out. But to me, I've been here too many times, Sean. You've been here too many times.
Yep.
Like, we don't see it like, oh my gosh, look at that.
It does. So to that point, like, I've seen this before. We felt this before, and we've seen decisions come because of these feelings that we could all say might have been a little rash. And I think that's what I don't think it feels similar. It certainly doesn't feel the same. There's too much talent on this team, and I think I still have a lot. If I was sometimes messaging needs to change, whatever, but I feel they need to muster something different amongst themselves, because they've shown the ability to be a top 10 offense, shown the ability to be middle of the road defensively. Lean into that.
They still are,
the
Sean.
roster is what it is right now, right? So
Yeah.
play to your strength. Balance yourself more. If you need bench scoring, sorry Malik, sorry Keegan, sorry DeMar, like whatever it is, don't be afraid to do it. He said 3 times the other day, I'll find someone who can. And I was literally in the back of the room going, you will? because you haven't shown that you're going. You haven't shown that you would like to to go deep into your rotations so much. He has at times, but the minutes these guys are playing are over 35 minutes a game. That's not sustainable for this team. So running them into the ground with their best players, you almost need to prevent that. So yeah, it's on the front office to find solutions. It's on him to find solutions too. And some of those solutions in the meantime might be meaning having to go deeper into your rotation, even if you can't trust it.
I'll just say this: great players play a lot of minutes.
Sure.
Like nobody's out here playing Latrell Sprewell minutes. Like Domas is averaging 36, Fox is averaging 37, Keegan's averaging 36, 35 for tomorrow. DeMar DeRozan averaged 37 minutes a game last season. Like these guys, this is
well, yes, but you see what I'm saying is I'm saying like you can try different things within your group, but you largely have not, right?
No, I think he's tried different things, and he got a few fans booing at him because he didn't play Keon Ellis.
There's a few, but I feel like you can do more.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll Jay, see Jordan, Orlando would be the three, right? Jay Crowder, Jordan, McLaughlin, Orlando.
I mean, to be honest, he emptied his bench far too late in that game. He let I'm all for it. Let your starters wear it. They should feel a little bit embarrassed and they should feel those boos. But that to me was reminiscent of the Houston losses last year where you go out there and you find you guys clearly don't have it. Where's the short leash? You know, if you have to, you're already going to lose. I mean, that game was in doubt going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but I would say, like, how bad does that look that a couple of days before Christmas?
It doesn't. I don't care.
Yeah.
His job is on the line, right?
I know. That's why he's coaching it all the way down the stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why he, like, a couple of games before called, 3 timeouts in the first, 4 minutes of the game.
Right.
Like, you got 5 veterans, 5 scorers, 5 very good basketball players, 1 Hall of Famer, 1 one-time All-Star, 1 3-time All-Star, 1 3-time All-NBA, a guy who lost 6 Man of the Year twice, which was a Travis Shamma mockery. Like, you have the 6 Man of the Year starting at your shooting guard position. You have the number 4 pick in the draft. And you got to call a timeout 50 seconds into a game because they didn't do the basics that you asked them, that they didn't guard the back cut.
I hate to go varsity blues on you, but bench them.
Okay. I'm here for it.
I'm
here for it, man. I am.
I don't know. I hate to come off as a middle school coach, but you're getting your teeth kicked in.
Go get right. No, I'm with you.
You lost 4 straight now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would do that before I saw my ass get fired. You know what I mean?
I'm intrigued now. I want to see
at least at that point I can
Sean is trying to push out there.
No, I'm not saying. Trust me, I'm not saying that I have answers rotationally. I'm just saying, if you don't have faith in your roster, then show them why.
Yeah. No, I felt the last couple of days we've seen a couple of hey, do you see this? How do you have faith in what I just put out there? Because that on paper, that small ball lineup should have been really fun to watch, and it wasn't at all. And again, show them this is what we've got. I don't know what else. Orlando Robinson's played 140 games in his career. I'm not putting him in there and seeing if it changes the complexity of the game. And Alex Len is what he is. I don't know. Jordan McLaughlin. Again, specific situation, sure. But I just don't know, and that's where we're at. Jay Crowder's a guy who averages less than 10 points a game for his career. So
it's not about scoring. This team can score with anybody. They haven't. They found the ability to stay at 100 or below for the past 3 games, which is wild. But
their starters can score with anybody. The rest of the team cannot score with anybody.
Right.
And the starters
figure that out.
But at the same time, you can't say the starters can score with anybody. They can score, but I don't want to play them 36 minutes anymore.
Then don't start all of them together.
Yeah,
I agree.
But he didn't start them all together. He's starting them all together now because he had to, because that's where the season went.
Well, guess what? Now he has a sample size. You got to continue to shake it up. So
yeah, I got you. Yeah, You hit the one button that you couldn't hit.
Look, there was never at one point in this. I think last night, the second half of last night, time I ever. Boy, they need scoring in the worst way.
Yeah.
Punched in the mouth twice against the Lakers.
3 weeks ago, I was all in on Dorian Finney-Smith being the answer. And then I saw what that team looked like and how they couldn't score when you went to the bench. And then I'm like, okay, maybe Cam Johnson. Maybe that's a better answer. So
you have to have enough scoring on this team already, right? Like, not to say that you can't get guys to do nothing, but I think the answer there is the fixing the starting lineup, and it's Malik or DeMar to the bench in my mind.
Yeah, but you have to have somebody that can replace them.
Yeah,
I mean the easy
Keon.
one, yeah, you can put Keon in. That's the easy one. But if it's not that one, and we all know that, like, the first thing that happened as soon as you put him in the starting lineup, they had like the number 1 rated offense for 5 games. So now you got a front office that wants offense, but if you can't win, it doesn't matter. If you
By the
can't
way,
win, you lose your jobs.
Finney-Smith also is like injured, right? Like he's battling a calf.
I don't know. He's been in and out of the lineup. He played. I mean, he didn't play against Sacramento, but he played the night after that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm swinging for the fences with Brandon Ingram if I can get him, but again, he's out for a while with a severe sprained ankle. So yeah.
Dorian is out at least for today's game. Also, by the way, left calf.
Yeah. What was it? Calf? Yeah, calf.
Yeah, left calf.
I haven't looked to see how many games he's played or anything else. Boy, look at this. Right. Our final thoughts have dragged on. My final thoughts: be safe out there. The weather's been weird. Enjoy your family and friends. Spend as much time as you can with them during the holidays. Try to get away from whatever it is that you do for a living. Take a break. I know we're taking a break with the Insiders. We won't be back until January 2nd. I know I need that.
Must be nice.
Well, I've still got games to cover and other things to do. It's just we're not going to have a show. But I think everyone at a certain point, you need to get a little bit, take a step back a little bit and take a breath. Enjoy the holidays. And so I hope that everyone out there has an incredible Christmas and New Year's. Anything else from you guys? No.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone. Hopefully, we don't have to have an emergency podcast in the next 72 hours.
Hopefully.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of the Kings Beat podcast. Let's see. We are a Blue Wire podcast. We're brought to you by Underdog. Go to Underdog, download the app, use the password Kingsbeat, all one word, for your first picks free and matching up to $1,000. Having a great time doing it. Outside of that, we will see you very soon. So for Fox 40, Sean Cunningham and Brenden Nunes from the Kings Pulse podcast, I am James Ham, Kings Insider for ESPN 1320, the Kings Beat. We'll see you very soon.